Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Latino Conservative. It is time to impeach Joe Biden. Joe Biden signs an executive order allowing abortion, bypassing the federal Supreme Court rulings. He also sells $1 million of our strategic oil reserve to China. And there is some scandal behind that. We've got that and more in this episode of the Latino Conservative. But first, a word from our sponsor. If you're anything like me, you found yourself with some credit issues at one point in time or another. One of the best things that I've done for my credit was to download the Chime app. Now, what the Chime app does, first of all, it gives you a debit card that you can use just like any other debit card. It's just a regular banking account, just no brick and mortar building. But what it also features is a credit builder credit account. You get this metallic green credit card, secured credit card that is secured by your direct deposit. The more you deposit into your credit builder account, the higher your credit limit is. And you know how credit bureaus love credit limits. They love the high credit limits. Haven't you heard of the people that go to buy cars and they have perfect credit, but they have no revolving credit? That's a credit builder account that'll help out for you right there. If you go to my website, thelatinoconservative.com, we can both get $100 if you download the Chime app using the banner that's up at the top. It's a green banner. It says Chime. I'll also include that in the description below and in the pinned comment. So everybody, don't forget to go like and share the Latino Conservative. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. This is a smaller YouTube account. So please, every chance you can, go drop a like, comment, sign up for alerts, and share the posting here. If you like what you hear, drop me a comment and let me know. If you don't like what you hear, drop me a comment and let me know. Let's keep the small voices out there. Let's keep our small voices and make them important voices. So don't forget to go like and share this channel and share it with others. So first on the agenda, before we get into all of the meat and potatoes, we've got a little gravy and green beans here. There's a pregnant woman in Texas that used the HOV lane and got a ticket. So for those of y'all who don't know what an HOV lane, I didn't know what an HOV lane was until I moved to a bigger town, until I moved to Houston. What an HOV lane is, it stands for high occupancy vehicles. It is set apart for people who have more than one passengers or more than one riders in that vehicle, counting the driver. Motorcycles can use it too. It's designed for things like buses and vans where there's families in there, but people use those as well to carpool. It's usually on the inside lane, gets you there quick. It avoids all the traffic. So this lady by the name of Brandy Blair, Texas, Dallas area in a city called Plano. She was driving in the HOV lane and was pulled over because the cops only saw one person in the passenger, one person driving. Didn't see any passengers, actually. And this happened just a few days after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Her claim that the unborn child was also a passenger. So let's dissect that just a little bit. If the unborn baby is a passenger, that means that person in her is an actual person. It is a people. So now we are admitting and we are understanding that unborn children are actual people. So where do their rights begin? This pregnant woman basically said, this baby has rights. This unborn baby has rights. See what I'm getting at? And I can get that. I don't know if she was pro-life, pro-choice, although she was pregnant, looked like she was pretty far along. So I'm guessing she was pro-life. Either that or she was pro-choice but just opted to have her baby. Either way, she still realized that baby in her was an actual person and had actual rights. So that being said, unborn babies have rights. By that logic. Speaking of rights, this is an actual right, a constitutional right, the Second Amendment that I'm going to talk about. First of all, my condolences to Japan and to the Shinzo Abe family for this tragic loss that they have. But the former prime minister of Japan was assassinated just a few days ago. He was 67. He was assassinated during a campaign speech. Now, Shinzo Abe was a friend of America. He was a friend of Donald Trump as well. And he was assassinated during his re-election campaign. So, as I tell you, one, people really don't like the right. And when I say people, I mean the far left. They really don't. They really try to unify this world, make it a one world order, and do anything they can in their powers to make that happen. But let's go back to the rights part of this. You see, Japan is one of the toughest countries to own a gun in. Absolutely tough. Hardly anybody owns a gun there legally. Maybe the Yakuza does, but hardly any law-abiding citizen in Japan owns a firearm. So, what does that mean? That means that gun laws work, right? It means the gun laws work so well that the Prime Minister of Japan was protected. Gun laws work only as far as the non-law-abiding citizens want to take them. Just ask the people in Chicago, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in New York, in Detroit, Minneapolis. You know, some of these cities that have some of the strictest gun laws and some of the most intrusive defund the police movements. Yeah, ask them how gun control laws are going. In fact, on the 4th of July, just a week ago, there was a horrific tragedy that happened in Chicago at a parade by a person who should not have had guns. Because Illinois actually has red flag laws, right? And this person definitely, if there was a reason for red flag laws to exist, he was one of them. The police had confiscated, I think it was like 19 knives out of his apartment or out of his house. He had attempted to commit suicide. He had written that he'd want to cause some destruction. But he still had a gun. Now, I will admit, his father signed for him. So not only should he be held liable for the lives that were lost, but his father should too. His father backed him up. His father basically lied for him, saying that he was able to own a gun. So you see what I'm saying there? Gun laws don't work for non-law-abiding citizens. All they do is restrict actual law-abiding citizens from owning guns and from protecting themselves. Let me read the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, let me read that again. Just the second part. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So what does that mean? It doesn't say the right of the militia to keep and bear arms. The right of the army, the right of the navy, the right of the military, the right of the government, the right of the police. It doesn't say any of that. It says the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Oh, but Andrew, they didn't have AR-15s back in the 1800s when this was written. They only had muskets. Okay, you went there. So by that logic, what you're saying is that you cannot say what you want to say on Facebook because they didn't have Facebook back then. They didn't have social media at all. They didn't have websites. You can't do that. You can't use one logic and not use it all around. Because if you take away our Second Amendment because we didn't have AR-15s, we didn't have short barrel shotguns, we didn't have Glocks, we didn't have any of those in the 1800s, then we don't have free speech because we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones where we can send text messages instantly. We didn't have email. We didn't have none of that. Yet you want to strip away one constitutional right because of technology, but keep another one despite of technology. So let me take this. Let me tie something in real quick. Back to Japan. Did you know in Japan, if you were to interrupt a campaign speech or a campaign function or a political function by interrupting it in general, you can go to prison. I think it's like 4 years in prison. Let's take a flashback of what Beto did at Uvalde when Governor Abbott was speaking in his capacity as his responsibility to the people of Uvalde during the shooting. Beto grandstanded him. So he should have been in jail if he was in Canada. No, sorry, if he was in Japan. But talking about Canada now, if you talk about the president in a negative manner in Canada, you can go to jail. Switzerland, you can go to jail. The United States is one of the only countries in the world where you can talk disparagingly about the president. Now imagine all you left-wingers, or I'll even say this, you anti-Trumpers who talked bad about Trump just because you don't like the guy, just because you don't like what the media put out there. But so you said he was a horrible president. Imagine all of those people if we were to have laws like in Canada, Japan, Switzerland, and you would have gone to jail. How many people would be in jail now? Speaking of free speech has a lot to do with the media and news. So what's going to go on here pretty soon on the news? The January 6th committee has secured more primetime coverage of their inquisition, their witch hunt, their third impeachment trial. Now, have they found any real evidence yet that wasn't totally hearsay or just totally opinionated, whatever bias mess? I don't think so. You know, there's the one girl that went in there that talks about how she heard other people saying this and heard other people saying that, said that Donald Trump lunged from the back seat and started choking the driver of the beast, and was still talking on the phone with one hand, using the other hand to steer the steering wheel. You know, there's a lot of space between the back seat and the front seat. And I believe there's security measures there between the seats. But yeah, that's all hearsay. Nothing true. Nothing more than just gaslighting by the Democratic Party, including Liz Cheney. She's part of the Democratic Party. They're using this as a midterm campaign tool because they have nothing else. They have nothing else other than Trump bad, abortion, and gun laws. That's all they have. They don't have anything. No substance in their campaign at all. That's all it is. It's an anti-Trump campaign. It is a midterm campaign. Midterm against the Republicans. So this is also a trick you see the communists do a lot. It's called propaganda. You saw that in Germany. You saw that in Russia. You saw that in North Korea. You see it in North Korea, I should say. In Germany during World War II, Russia, you still see it. The government will put media out there that they want you to see. China's the same way. They only want you to see what they want you to see. That's it. That's all you're going to see. They will silence everything else. That's what the Democratic Party is doing right now with media. Most of the media is that way. Most of the media is far left-leaning. Disney even is far left-leaning. They bow the knee to China because China pays them lots of money. Don't think I'm true? Don't think I'm being right about that? Why would Disney, who went in and was a big, huge, ginormous advocate for Pride Month, take out lines and scripting of movies that they had in China that suggested gay talk? They bend the knee to money. Hollywood, in general, is very entangled with China. What I think the media should do right now, and the Democratic Party, all of these primetime spots that they are basically giving away to the Democratic Party during this January 16th Inquisition, they should disclose that on the FEC logs. You know, the Federal Election Committee, donations in kind, they should count that towards donations because that's what it is. They should be forced to form a PAC so they stay within the legal parameters of the FEC. By the way, I'm not sure how much this really is going to accomplish for the left because if I'm not mistaken, on April 6th, just a year and a few months after the actual event happened, April 6, 2022, defendant Matthew Martin was found not guilty of charges that he incurred from the January 6th event. Now, did something happen on January 6th? Yes, absolutely did. Somebody died at the hands of the Capitol Police. But this gentleman, Matthew Martin, is charged with insurrection, trespassing, destruction of, everything that they could find to charge him with. They charged him with, and what was his defense that he got off scot-free with? The police let him in. So by that token, by that logic, any one of those people that are still in jail right now should be immediately let out. They should also have the ability to sue the federal government for wrongful crimination. And this whole January 6th committee is just a fallacy. It's just a dog and pony show. That's all it is. It means nothing. It is worth nothing. It is just a waste of taxpayer time and money, stuff that I pay into and that you pay into. Who knows how much money has gone into that yet? How much did they dip into our Social Security benefits because of that? Waste of time and money. Lizzie Fletcher, the Democratic out of Texas, Houston, Texas, Congressional District 7. She introduced a bill aiming at protecting people's rights as they travel to other states for abortions. So think about that for a second. The thought of her introducing a bill that protects people's right to travel is basically saying that she doesn't know that there's already a bill that protects people's right to travel. There's actually a constitutional amendment, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Here, I'll read it for you. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdictions thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any laws which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of these laws. So, she is supporting, sponsoring, introducing the 14th Amendment. Congress and pretty much any law enforcement, government entity, person out there, police included, they take an oath to uphold and support the Constitution of the United States from enemies foreign and domestic. How on God's green earth can you support a Constitution that you don't know? And the 14th Amendment isn't one of these articles, section B, subsection A, .102, whatever. It's not one of those. It is the 14th Amendment. One of the original 14th Amendments. It's pretty important. And it states that no state shall make a law that takes away from a person's rights when they're in that state. So basically, you have the right to free travel. And if I go to California, California is supposed to treat me legally exactly how it treats every one of its other residents there. If I come to Texas from California, Texas is bound to treat me like every other Texan resident there, so long as it doesn't go against the laws of the state and the laws of the country. Lizzie Fletcher doesn't know the Constitution. It's obvious with this bill. This is why I am putting my full endorsement against her to her opponent, Johnny Teague. Johnny Teague is running for U.S. Congress. I've met this man personally. Wonderful guy. Absolutely phenomenal person. He's a pastor at a church down in Houston. And I mean, just altogether great guy. God-fearing. Smart. Logical. It's one thing I like about him. Logic. You know, that is one key point that I have with everything. The logical reason is oftentimes the smartest reason, the simplest reason, and the best reason. Johnny Teague has a lot of logic there. We need Johnny Teague. He'll represent all the people fairly and in the right way. So Joe Biden. You know, I think it's time we actually impeach Joe Biden or invoke the 25th Amendment, which basically says he can't do his job. Because have you heard him talk lately? His speech has just degraded tremendously. When he was on his campaign trail, and even though he didn't campaign much, he was actually semi-articulate, and he sounded good when he was talking. Since he took on the role of presidency, it just went down. I mean, you've got moments of him saying that he can describe America in one word, shaking hands with people that aren't there. Y'all know. You've witnessed it. And people are just afraid to talk about it. But I think it's time we either invoke the 25th Amendment or we actually impeach Joe Biden. Joe Biden signs an executive order that's aimed at protecting the so-called rights for abortion. Goes against the legislative process, totally 100%. I'm not fully 100% against executive orders. I believe that there are some that should have happened, like in states of emergency. However, Joe Biden has been ruling this country by edict, by executive order, since his first day in office. When he first signed his executive order to stop the Keystone Pipeline, which we are feeling the effects of that now. So, the Supreme Court, as we all know, just a couple weeks ago, overturned Roe v. Wade. And the Democratic Party has used that as a campaign point right off the bat. And that's what he's still doing. With this executive order, all he is doing is saying, F you, the same words that Lori Lightfoot of Chicago said, F you, Supreme Court, I'm going to do what I want to do. That's not how this government is designed to work. We have three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. You are the executive branch, Mr. President. You're responsible for foreign affairs. You're responsible for what happens overseas. The war in Ukraine, even though I don't like what you're doing right now, you are responsible for that. That is your job directly. The legislative branch creates the law. The judicial branch makes sure that those laws are legal and in accordance to the Constitution. That's it. That is it. You're overstepping your boundaries. That's not how this country was designed. That's not how this government was designed. By that, you can sign any executive order you want, and your minions will uphold that. That's scary. That is absolutely terrifying. What's next? Second Amendment, you're going to take our guns away? You're going to take our right to speech away? Oh, and by that, I guess, there goes our Fourth Amendment, due process. There goes our Fifth Amendment, right to remain silent. Oh, Fourth Amendment also is the right to illegal search, to abstain from illegal search and seizure. Don't forget the Civil Rights Acts, the right for women voters. Everything that the Constitution in this country is. You overturning arbitrarily the Supreme Court's ruling with just the flick of a pen puts you at immediate threat of doing that to each and every one of our constitutional rights. Now, you may say that you don't want to do that, but you're in a position to do that. which is why I think we need to strip you of that power. Also, we all know that you recently was exposed to talking about Hunter Biden's business doings in Ukraine and in China, even though you said that you never have. We all heard that tape already. And again, people who claim that that wasn't real are just disingenuous. They're ignorant. They're trying to ignore that fact that you are compromised. The way I know you're compromised is you tapped into our strategic oil reserve. Everybody thought that was a great deal. Awesome, right? Good job. Bravo. You're using our strategic oil reserve, but you sold 1 million barrels to China. Not only did you sell 1 million barrels to China, you sold it to the oil company Unipec. Unipec is still getting oil from Russia. Think about that for a second. If they're still getting oil from Russia and from us, they are still strengthening Russia's dollar, not ours. They only got 1 million. I know it seems like a lot, but 1 million barrels in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot. But what are they going to do with that oil? Refine it and sell it back to us for a profit? When we have thousands of refineries here in the United States that you will not allow to run, or that cost so much more for them to run because of all of the environmental regulations that we have on them. China and India are two of the biggest countries out there using fossil fuels, but they're absolutely not complying with nearly as many regulations that we have on ours. Yet we're still selling them oil. So they can produce plastics. Hey, guess what? We can do that here too. You brag about all of the oil field leases that are out there and active and available, but we can't refine them. We're producing almost as much oil as when Donald Trump left office, but we are exporting almost double the amount because we can't refine it here. It is too expensive to refine it here. We've got so many regulations that you have put into effect to basically enact the Green New Deal without our permission, without congressional approval, without Senate approval. We've got so many regulations that we can't afford to refine it here. So you're basically forcing green energy on us, even though it's not sustainable. People think it is, but it's not. If it's a cloudy day or at night, we can't get solar power. If the wind stops blowing, we don't have wind energy. Yet oil is there, coal is there. Why can't we use that? You've got oil experts in the United States that said we have over 400 years of oil that we know of available, and we just can't get to it because we're not allowed to. So another thing about Unipec. Hunter Biden has a financial interest in them. Think about that one for a second. So just last week, what Joe Biden has done, he has totally negated the U.S. government process by signing that executive order to protect, quote unquote, rights for abortion. And 2, he is selling oil to a company that his son has an interest in. But they don't talk about business. He's crooked. He is everything that we need not in this office. In the midterms, when we take over the House and the Senate, if Republicans don't move immediately to impeach Joe Biden, I would do everything in my power to unseat that incumbent, whether that is me running myself or me donating to candidates that are running against them and campaigning for candidates against them. We got to stop settling for this. We're not going to stoop to their levels, because you know what? The Democratic Party is not going to stop. They won't. They are not going to stop. So we have to play ball with them. We've got to play their game. They are over here playing Major League Baseball, and we're playing Little League Soccer. Republicans, Dan Crenshaw, Troy Nehls, Michael Cloud, we need you. We need y'all to step up. Y'all are all still relatively new in your position. Troy Nehls, you're a freshman, so I get it. I know what it's like to be a new guy in a position. You're in a big position, but y'all are in the right position. Y'all are representatives of the greatest state of the country. Ted Cruz, I need you to have their back in this. John Cornyn, please come back to the light. I can forgive you. I can forgive you. I voted for you. If you have their back as well. Let's lead the way in the country the way we know Texas can lead the way, because Texas does lead the way. Guys, my name is Andrew Alvarez. Again, thank you for letting me rant and rave on this episode of The Latino Conservative. Follow me on TikTok. On TikTok, I am at .tx.latino.conservative. Follow me. Go to my website, aaforcongress.com. That's an old website. That'll get you there, but that's not my website anymore. My website is thelatinoconservative.com, though. Don't be surprised if in the next couple years, AA for Congress gets active again. Thanks again, guys. Love y'all. God bless.